Now we're going to look at working in perspective views, and they're very similar to the orthographic views. And even after you've created the view, you can change it back and forth, okay? So if I've got a view open here, I can come to my properties, go to projection mode, and I can make a change there. And you can see how it adjusts the view of the image, okay? Control Z to undo. So I went back for that. Creating them is just like creating any other 3D view. It's just when you go to here, you turn on perspective. There is no scale because it all deals with how close your camera is to the object. Okay, so I'm not going to pop another one in here. I've got this one set up, so let me show you. So here's the camera. And yeah, I've got the camera pulled outside of my property line. And you can see the target there in the back. And I demonstrated this in the first video, how you can move, you can adjust your target, you can adjust your camera, these kinds of things. The view range is here as far as the crop region goes. You can extend it, left or right. You can change your elevations here. Okay, so, you can play with these things. And you saw how I did it in the first video. So you can play with those things to kind of move them back and forth. Now, one of the, I want to show you here when you're in perspective, there are things you can do and you cannot do. So if you look at your modified toolbar, you can see some of these things are grayed out, meaning that they won't work. Okay. The mirror tools, the pinning, a lot of things are grayed out and they won't work. Whereas if we're looking at a regular 3D view, you pretty much got, the full options there that you can work with. Okay. Now, if the whole thing with the crop region, it works the same as any other view, except for here, if we go to the size crop tool, and I set my, I've got two different options here, field of view and scale. Well, field of view is just that. It's what we're looking at. So if I change that to 6 inches and leave my height at 2 5/8, you can see it changed the width. It did not change the height. The object stays the same. We're not adjusting the camera or the target. But if I change this to scale, all that means is that it's keeping this proportion the same. So if I make that 8 inches, it changed to a height of 3.5. And nothing changed, okay, except for now, if we were to put this on a piece of paper, it would be 8 inches wide and whatever that height was. Now, where that can come into play is if you're going to be printing in standard sizes, okay, like standard photograph sizes. They have a standard height to width ratio, just like your computer screens. The old style monitors had one aspect ratio, whereas the new, more widescreen monitors, they all have similar ratios of height to width. And so if you know those, you can work with this to set up your crop size. One that used to be was like a 6:4 old style photograph. Okay. But now if I want it to be bigger than 6 inches, I can go scale it, and we'll say I want my width to be 10 inches. Okay, so now when I put it on a piece of paper, it's 10 inches wide and 8 inches tall. However, if we've played with moving our crop region and stuff, and we want to center this up, the best way to do it is the target, reset the target. And this will put things back into the center. You can read the help search. It moves, it positions the target back to the center of the crop region. And if I look back to here, you can see it's in the center of the crop. It's this one. So it centers it up. Okay, next page of notes. Okay, and before, just like before, if I use a view cube or my mouse, I'm moving both target and eye position. Whereas if I use the compass, then I'm rotating the camera about the target, okay? And if you notice, it's a little bit That's why we should pin things, eh? So you notice I can't drag and move things like I could in another view. I can rotate. So if I need to change these things, I have to do it here or over in the site plan. Okay, so those are those things. Now, another use for perspective drawings is if you're doing an interior view. And we did some interior views in the 1127 class. And in case you haven't noticed, this is the same building, yes. So here I did a perspective inside the living room. And the issue with this one is the camera is outside. So in order to get the width of my view that I wanted, I had to move the camera outside. And when I moved the camera outside, I had to hide the wall and the door in this view. And so if I go back here to reveal hidden elements, you can see the wall, the door, and the two lights are what are hidden. Now, this will work sometimes for you. Sometimes it'll work just fine. Sometimes it may create some issues with you, especially if you're applying lighting, or if you pull back. If you were to pull back far enough to where you could see the actual edge of the floor, the edge of the wall, it's going to look kind of wonky. So that's just one way that you can move the things out so that you can see. And as some of you may remember, because we did a view here of the kitchen, if you get your camera too close to the wall, it's going to be like actually inside the wall and you won't see anything. I'll do a quick one right here. What? That's not what I wanted. Camera. And what we were doing is we were trying to get it like right here in the corner of the room to look here. That one worked. Okay, so there, you see, there's the wall that it's picking up. I remember some people were having a really hard time with this, and it was hard to see at the time until you just kind of played around with the camera. So that's what I've got for you on perspectives. I got to go through my my learning notes, and we'll see. We may have some other 3D view things before we get around to actual renderings and the settings that go with that.